Hey family, it's Tasha Mom by Preppy and welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel where we just talk about preparedness, emergency, catastrophes, events that could happen to you and yours. I really just talk about what me and my family do, and then hopefully that gives you some ideas to help you with you and yours. Okay, so today, get your drink pull up. We're going to talk about it. Got one of my Christmas mugs out. I think the kiddo's been playing with the extra mugs. Okay, so wanted to talk about meat apocalypse, meat problems, meat issues. You know, meat has been an issue and a concern. Obviously, the agenda is to get rid of meat completely, to remove it from the pyramid, that we don't need it. We can replace it with bugs and crickets, and this is somehow going to save the world and its earth, and it's better for the animals, it's better for the people, it's better for our health. It's all of these things, right? And all of these agendas, and different things have been happening to our food in general. But when it comes to meat, you know, there's all types of culling and killing and bird flu and different reasons why they have to kill and put down thousands upon thousands of animals. All types of restrictions on farmers and people who keep animals, and the amount of animals they can keep and what kind of animals and what they can sell and how they can sell. And there's been rules this whole time. There's rules, regulations this entire time. But it's getting stricter. It's getting tighter. It's getting more restrictive in the sense that, you know, farmers and animal folks are having to, you know, those that raise our food, raise our animals that we eat, okay, in the supermarket, are struggling and having to pull back and not being able to do as much. And that's a problem. That's a problem for the overall supply of our meat that comes into the stores that you buy. Now, we've talked several times on this channel about food in general. We've talked about meat in general, how to stockpile meat, getting meat in your house, different options for your meat. And today we're just going to talk about 6 different reasons to stockpile meat, how to stockpile meat, basically, so that between now and the future, the different ways that you're going to be able to procure meat and get meat, because this is the direction they're going. I mean, even as far as like, okay, now birds, you know, chickens, if you keep backyard chickens, you need to be careful because you need to be careful of bird flu, or you need to be careful of blood clots, or there's stuff messed up with the feeds aren't working, stuff put in the feeds that makes the animals not do what they're supposed to do, or the animals get sick. And so this is constantly going to be a problem, but there's options. There's things we can do, moving towards a self-sufficiency type of life, and you know, you taking charge. It's just like my family's starting to take charge of the things that we eat and put in our bodies and the preservatives that are in things, and turning around and trying to make things ourselves so that we know exactly what's in stuff. It's the same thing for your animals, right? You don't necessarily have to buy the feed. You could actually, there's other ways that you could go about this. So there's options, okay? But meat is so important to a lot of people. I'm a meat eater. And it's going to be a problem. So how do you get meat between now and the future? What are you going to do? Because I tell you what, too, if you're going to buy in and comply to the digital currency, which I am not, my family is not, you better be preparing, and you better be stockpiling your meat and the things that you know that you and your family want, that you're not going to be able to get later in the traditional way, right? You're going to get cut off. It's going to come to a point where you don't do this digital thing. You then can't shop at these stores. You can't do this stuff. You can't be part of society, okay? So number one way is Stockpilot, right? This is an obvious one. A lot of preppers, we've been doing this for years and years, and that's Stockpilot. Stockpiling meat, stockpiling other protein options, right? So that's you know, stacking your canned meat, right? You know, buying your freeze-dried meat, your 25-year freeze-dried meat, okay? If I have to pick nowadays, I used to just love a canned meat. Canned meat. I still am a huge fan of canned meat, but I'm even more of a fan of freeze-dried meat, okay? And if you're blessed and you can afford a freeze dryer, then get that, and then I would be going to town on meats right now. So freeze-dried meats, canned meats, but get your meats, stockpile those meats the best that you can. The number 2 way is to preserve it, meaning you buy the meat, you buy meat now that you can readily get, and then you preserve it, meaning you pressure can it and you get it on you take that meat that would go bad in your fridge in a couple days, or in the freezer, you know, be freezer burnt in, you know, a month. Yeah, maybe a couple years you keep this meat in the freezer, but again, grid down, long-term blackout, that's not a very viable source. You're going to lose your meat. And if by pressure canning it, you get that meat, and now the meat is on the shelf for 5 to 10 years. Okay. So preserving meat. You could also smoke meat, cure meat, dry it out, just jerky it. There's all types of different ways that you can preserve meat. But be thinking about preservation of meat. Be thinking about preservation of meat now. And if it like now what you would do, okay, I buy it and I get it on sale and then I pressure can it, but also be thinking, how do you preserve meat in the future? Having a smoker, having a drying rack, having the different things that you'd want to be able to preserve meat, right? Maybe that's an outside cooler, some kind of system to keep meat once you've maybe gotten some fresh meat, whatever, and you don't have a refrigerator or a freezer system anymore, right? What is going to be the plan now and in the future for preserving meat? Okay, number 3 thing I have is raise it, right? The obvious one, get you some animals. Make sure that you have some females and some males. You know, do your own breeding, do some research now, get some books now, go to school now, learn about how to breed animals, but raising your own meat, right? And this could be simple. So this could be quails. This could be, you know, this could be a multitude of things. This could be rabbits. It could be chickens. It could be turkeys. It could be ducks, you know, tons of different fowl that it could be. It could be, you know, bigger animals. You know, there's a lot of animals, big animals like goats and cows and things like that. And there's all types of miniature versions of those, smaller versions of those. So you don't have to go big. You don't have to, you know, oh, I need to have acres and acres and acres and acres. You do need a little bit of land, but there's a lot of stuff that you can get. Maybe it's pork is your thing. Maybe it's beef's your thing. Maybe it's just having an animal for your milk products. Maybe it's having fowl so you continue to have both meat on a bird from a fowl and also the eggs that it produces. You have that protein as well. I mean, you just really got to think, how do you do this? Maybe it's, you know, I always think now, like, yeah, things could go left, but right now we have chickens. Those chickens are producing. We're not eating an abundance of eggs right now. Because we're just living life and thinking about the future, and I'm preserving. I'm water glassing eggs like crazy, and so I'm saving eggs for the future. I've got eggs already preserved in a lot of different ways prior to getting chickens, right? Freeze-dried scramble, freeze-dried, like you name it, right? And so eggs is always been an important thing, but think about raising animals and what that looks like. And what does it look like? We've thought, for example, we want to move because we want animals. We want some goats. We want some cows, some miniature jerseys. We want some, we want animals, right? We want some ducks. You know, I would love to have some duck eggs. Duck eggs are humongous, right? There's a lot of stuff that I want. And when you have land, that can expand to something much bigger. We get stuck here. There's a collapse, whatever. There's only so much I can do here. You know, I've got the chickens already. Could we get more chickens? Yes. But it's not self-sufficient because we don't have, you know, a rooster. Because of where we live, we're in the city enough, right? And we're not really in the city, but we have neighbors, right? And so we're thinking of that, you know, space wise, we have half an acre, right? We could do some hydroponics setup, probably with some fish, do something like that. Maybe do some bunny rabbits. You know, it's hard. It's hard on what you can do with the amount of space you have and the type of animals that you're going to get. But there is stuff that you can get if you think it through with your space and you're creative. Okay, but you've got to be thinking about raising it. What else can you do? You can hunt it. You can trap it. Right, you can you can forage through the you know, tree lines around your house. You're setting traps in even in your backyard. Hunt. Again, gotta have. We mentioned this, I think, on yesterday's video or the video before. Gotta have the materials though. Gotta have the weapons to hunt. Gotta have the trapping materials. Gotta have the fishing materials. Like have to have that stuff. Otherwise, you're just dead in the water. And even if you have that stuff, if you've never done it, the skill set is not just, you know, you don't just turn it on and you know how to do those things. Okay, so you need to be practicing, buying things, getting things, and then practicing. But hunting it, that's going to be a way that you and or other people are going to be getting meat, right? So you can stock it, you can preserve it, you can raise it, you can hunt it or trap it. The next thing is you can barter for it. I mean, if you're lucky enough to be around people that maybe have stockpiled or maybe are hunters or whatever the case may be, you know, and this is more of in the future, there's the ability to possibly, you know, barter for it, trade for it. Hey, I'd like a slab of, you know, I'd like some meat that I'm going to, you know, make some meals out of. You know, what can I give you for that meat? I tell you what, there's going to be certain things that are very, very difficult to get. And if they're in short demand, that's even higher. And so the price might be too high, even in a bartering situation. Okay. Two, bartering is going to be a dangerous situation anyway, because if you're not fully trusting the person before everything happened, it's going to be hard to just trust a stranger in the future as far as bartering and trading. Even a neighbor who has animals, you have animals, you guys get together and do things. You have to be wary of that. Just make sure you're paying attention, head on a swivel, because everybody's going to be out to protect themselves. Everybody's going to be on edge. And I promise you that neighbor is going to be, you know, especially if they're like-minded and thinking like you, they're thinking like you. Think about that. Okay. So they're thinking, okay, can I trust you? Can you still be trusted? All these things. Okay. And then the last thing I have is, this is the last thing. This is the way people are going to get meat. They're going to comply for it, right? They're going to say, okay, yes, we're starving. We want to be able to go to the store and get meat. We're going to go ahead and sign up for this digital currency or whatever, this new world order, this new government, this new regime, this new whatever happens after a collapse, right? Whatever government stands up, whatever policies and stuff are started that you don't want to comply with, that's the way that people are going to eat, okay, and get their food and get their water and comply and get their meat, right? I tell you what, you're probably not getting meat if you get into this system anyway. You're eating bugs and crickets and maggots and whatever else that they feel like putting in your food to take away that meat source, okay? That's what you're going to get. You're going to get, what is it? Impossible meat, or meat that's not real, but they pretend like it's meat, right? They make it look like meat, but it's not. It's just ridiculous. Like, just say it's not meat and you don't eat meat. I don't understand why you have to trick yourself into eating something that appears to look like meat, but you don't want to eat meat. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Okay. So what I want to say is, be thinking about meat, because the meat apocalypse is coming. They've been working on this for years and years and years. The more we go forward, the more you have to think about meat and getting meat and having the ability to have meat on your shelf in your home. Not only just for hard times and preparedness, but preparing for the day that they just keep going with it and going with it. You know, there's a day where they'll try to come get the animals. Hey, you can't have any animals, or you need to tell us how many animals you have on the property so we can tax you for those animals. That type of stuff's going to be happening too. So think about your meat. Think about your meat situation. What can you do now? It doesn't matter if you live in an apartment. You can still do this. Because you can stockpile now. You can preserve now. You can prepare to hunt. You can learn that skill set right now, hunting and trapping and all that stuff. One of my favorite books is this huge, thick trapping book. It's just old school traps, deadfall traps, how to build traps from sticks. It's like an old school bushcraft trapping book. It's one of my favorite books because I know it's going to be invaluable in the future. And it's fun going through it and being like, hey, let's just try to set up this little trap. How hard can it be to make this thing? And it's just a fun time, right? It's just a fun time now. It's not going to be so much fun when you're trying to trap and if you're not catching stuff. But think about meat. Think about how you're going to procure that. You know, a lot of people will just give it up. They're like, I'll just give it up. No big deal. Meat, no big deal. But that's going to change the dynamic of your body and how your body runs, how you feel. And a lot of folks would say, hey, if you cut out meat, you're going to feel better anyway. Might be a true story. I don't know. I just know that we want to continue to have meat. We're going to prepare. We have meat. We're going to stockpile meat. And if meat is important, that type of protein is important in your life, to you and yours, you need to be thinking about these 6 ways, between now and the future that you're going to be able to get meat. Okay. So you guys be well. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video. I got to get going. Got lots of stuff to do, and I'll see you later. Bye.